me see if I'm live in here. Let me see if I'm live in here. About to find out. If you're just joining into the live, I'm just checking to make sure somebody's here. If you throw me a thumbs up in the chat, that way I know I'm live, I know you can hear me, and I know I can get started with this version of Purge of the BS. Special shouts to all the new subscribers, the new fam. You guys are really helping grow the channel. So thank you for all of your support, and everybody else who's been sharing the content, jumping into the conversation, leaving comments. You guys are really doing a great job. So thumbs up for y'all. Now, once I get my first thumbs up in the chat, I may not wait, we'll see. But once I get my first thumbs up in the chat, that's what I wait to get started, because I don't like to say things twice. I like to say it once, like most people, and move on. So I'm going to give it 1 second here. Just a moment, and let's see what we got. Stuff buzzing over here. Looks like we're good. All I need to see is anybody here. Because like I said, it's crazy when you're on here, you don't want to talk to yourself. You know what I'm saying? You want to speak to someone, because it's all about the conversation. There's a conversation that needs to be had right now. And I just want to make sure everybody's here before I get started. You know what I'm saying? Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you're ready to have a quick discussion about Joe Biden's Christmas present to the population. That's sarcasm for those that don't know, for the trolls in the chat. If you don't know, my name is Haze. I am your host, Purge the BS, where all BS will be purged, okay? Doesn't matter who it comes from, doesn't matter if you're tall, short, white, black, fat, whatever, you will get the smoke. So thank you everybody for joining in on the subscriptions, on the subscribers and all that. You know, it's been an amazing year, man. 2024 has been an amazing year, so thank you guys for joining in on that. Now I'm gonna give you 1 more minute here, let everybody get in here. Let's get the crowd assembled, as they would say, right? So that I can say my piece. And then I can be on about my day. You know what I'm saying? And shouts to all of the new subscribers from, I guess, the last live. Y'all killed it on that, man. The conversation was great. People still talking about it. You see, where's my chat at? Oh, it's right here. Okay. Chat's up. Anybody that's in there, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't become a subscriber yet, make sure you do that. I do subscribers only on my lives, because if not, you get the trolls kind of distracted from stuff just popping in and popping out, and they don't want to have a real conversation anyway. So you support me, I support you. You feel what I'm saying? We're doing this as a community. As a community. Well, I like that song, boy. I don't know. I love that joint. I'm glad YouTube recommended it for me. That's Anno Domini Beats, if you want to know. It's probably in the description because it's connected. But anyway, so thank you everybody for joining into our day after Christmas extravaganza. All right. Now, I like to start every show with positive energy, because this is Purge of the BS, okay? So BS will get purged. But before I get into that piece of it, because I always end up frustrated somehow, I don't know. But before I get into that, I just wanted to give a really special shout to what I was witness to yesterday. For those who don't know, they did a football game, and special shouts to the Ravens for winning the game, first and foremost. But they did a football game on Netflix. And I know they've been doing a lot on Netflix lately, but recently the football game on Netflix that they did, am I missing the monitor? Hold on a second, I'm missing the monitor. I'm about to have it here. Put a thumbs up in the chat if you saw the what has been dubbed as the Beyonce Bowl. If you saw it. If you didn't see it, then that's fine. That's fine. But before I get into my serious conversation regarding the commutation of people on death row and all that stuff can get serious. But I wanted to give a special shout to what I did manage to view yesterday. So for those who didn't get to see the Beyonce Bowl, granted, I can't play the whole situation. I can't even play half of it. And if I could play it, I definitely couldn't play it at regular speed because Beyonce and them own all of that. But for those who don't understand, it's not normal to have a big concert during a regular season game. For any football fans, we don't even see what happens at halftime. Normally during a football game, you like watch the people talk about the first half during halftime. That's what happens. And you see your commercials for beer and food, pizza, stuff like that. And that's it. That's what a halftime is in a regular, normal football game. But they decided this time around that they were going to get Beyonce to come and perform. Now, for anybody who lives under a rock and doesn't know who Beyonce is, she's like one of the top winningest artists ever, right? Also is married to Jay-Z, who is also connected through Rock Nation to the musical side of what the NFL's been doing in the last year or so. So if you didn't get a chance to be part of that and see what this is, I'm going to give you a couple of moments of it. I know they're going to come and hit me with a little copyright ID thing, but it is what it is. I thought it was a really interesting show. I just wanted y'all to... Now, granted, she took like forever to get to the actual stage, but y'all see her here. She's doing a little walk. She's doing it. Like, for copyright purposes, I'm pausing it right here. I want a thumbs up in the chat if you saw this live yesterday. For anybody that's a football fan, we already know this is not what you see at halftime during no regular season game. You might see that during the Super Bowl. But during a regular season game, every once in a while they'll have somebody perform, but that's more for the people that are actually in the stadium and not folks like us that are watching it. But because it was on Netflix, which is a paid subscription service, they decided that they were going to pay Beyonce $10 million or whatever it costs to have her do a show at the football game. So Netflix got some money. They doing all right if they can get Beyonce doing it. Shoot, I just gotta pause this, man. Beyonce's killing it right now. And this is unlocking. You remember, I had a big issue with the whole Taylor Swift thing and Travis Kelce thing a little while ago. I had a little issue with that because it was all about Taylor Swift and she wasn't doing what we know Taylor Swift to be doing. Like, it wasn't about her performing. It was just because she was some dude's girlfriend and he was knocking it down. And I don't think that that's like, we need to be focused on that. That's not very important. But Beyonce is performing the halftime show at a regular season game. Do you guys understand what that means? That's not what normally happens. You don't get Beyonce for regular season games. They're giving you an eyeball into what's next. Because if you want people to pay for a service to watch the regular season games, you're going to have to throw Beyonce up there. Most people aren't going to get a subscription just because they want to watch one game on a particular service. That's where Peacock and all of them were losing out. They were getting some people that would view the games, but in a general sense, the viewership of the games that was on the private services when Peacock and all that were doing it, I don't know if that was Thanksgiving. It was a while ago, but they kind of had their own little service going, right? And you had to pay to see that. If you didn't have it, you just didn't see it unless you were in the local area for the team that was playing, right? So the viewership of those games on the private services was lower than the ones that were on like the regular local joints, and everybody could see them. So what they had to do was figure out, how do we get around the fact that people would much rather watch a free football game than pay for a subscription service to just watch the particular game that weekend that their team is playing, and if they're outside of the, local area of their own team. Because most people follow the teams that are kind of local to them. So if you live in Baltimore, you still got to see the Ravens game on regular TV, like regular CBS TV, even though it was on Netflix, right? So the people that they're appealing to are the folks who are like way outside of that, right? People who can't get that game unless they got like a, jailbroken Fire Stick or something like that going on, or they have like NFL package, but basically they had to pay for it. That's my whole point. With that payment, some people are going to be like, yo, I don't want to pay for that to watch a football game. I can just not see it and watch another game and watch the highlights after the fact. It's really not that important for a lot of people. But what they did was they decided, let's create the hype around the halftime performance, which is what the Super Bowl does. Now, granted, people like the Super Bowl, right? But there's only 2 teams in the Super Bowl. So if you're not really a fan of either team, what's your real reason to watch the Super Bowl? It's the halftime show. It's the commercials. It's everything that's not football. In this particular case, they decided, let's take a Super Bowl approach to a regular season game and see how it works out. Now, I'm not saying it's the first time that anybody's ever performed at the halftime of a football game. Not saying that. What I'm saying is the amount of production they put into this thing was far beyond anything I've seen. And I've watched a lot of football. And I've watched a lot of Super Bowls. And this was Super Bowl level production in a regular season game. Never seen that before. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one. I got a little slower down. All right. The genius of this is unmatched. I'm just going to start right there. This is genius because dudes like me I never listened to none of the Cowboy Carter songs. I didn't even really listen to Beyonce as an individual by herself as a guy because it was mostly songs for women. So I knew like the commercial stuff, you know, the single ladies and, you know, all that kind of stuff because of, you know, DJing and all that. But I never really just listened to like Beyonce's Lemonade album in my car by myself. You understand what I'm saying? So this is about as close to listening to it as you're going to get me. You bring me in on the football side because I ain't, you see what I'm saying? And a million others like me. You give me Beyonce in a, you know, nice looking little cowboy kind of, you know, it's crossover. It's given the cowboy thing for those that like are on the cowboy side, right? And it's given the, you know, I don't want to be disrespectful because I feel I'm very pleased with what I saw, and it's only because I know what they're gonna do with it, and I'm a little pissed about all of a sudden when they have football on certain days, they have it all like you got to pay for these little services and stuff. I don't like that, but I figure if they're gonna do it and you add a Beyonce concert to it, now people will be like, yo, I'll pay for Netflix real quick to watch the Beyonce show. I personally don't know any of these songs. I don't. But what I do know is Beyonce killed it. Post Malone killed it. Shabuzi killed it. Whoever did the production killed it. Netflix got their money. Whoever did the denim on this truck, they killed it. Like there's a lot of killage going on here. And I just need y'all to, let's just respect the respectable. She didn't come out there on no ratchetness. She didn't come out there embarrassing herself or her family. She had a daughter out there. She came out there and made a little statement. I ain't heard from Beyonce in a while because her music changed genre, so it wasn't really in my playlist, right? So this is really the first time I done heard her perform in a while. Me personally, I'm not saying anybody else, but I was watching football. I wasn't going to the Beyonce concert. I was going to watch football. Right? And instead of just getting that, I got to see a whole Super Bowl level show on a regular season game. Now, look, guys, if that's not a marketing idea that's about to take off, all of them going to have it. You're going to have all types of performances going on now, and they're going to make you pay for the services that come along with that. So, like I said, I'm going to let this piece finish because I'm going to get to my serious conversation first. But this was awesome. For anybody that doesn't like Beyonce or Post Malone or whomever, I'm not really, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fact that they decided to put a number one headlining artist on a regular season game. And not only did she come out there and perform, she was killing. Let me move it up a little bit. Throw the algorithm off before they shut me down. Whoa. Guys, there's like 300 people in here. Can we get the likes up? I mean, I know we're all into the Beyonce thing. It is very, it will definitely distract. But hey, since we're here, can we support the channel? Because I'm telling you, I'm gonna get into my other convo in 1 second. I gotta pay respect to this. This is amazing. I wish every football game could do that. With all the money they making and all the money them players are making, we should get a damn concert every game. Then more people will start buying the tickets to be at the game because they'll be at the concert. And then more people would have no problem paying for Netflix and whatever else because they're going to get to see Beyonce. Even people that don't watch football would pay for the game. Now, I hope they don't start this pay-per-view shit like really every game. That'd be crazy. But they might be on the way there. If they start putting out this kind of product frequently, man, once people get their nose open on stuff like this, there's no telling where you're going to end up putting them. Now, for those that don't understand how to utilize the like thing, if we came through on the shorts feed, you got to go up to like the top right of your screen, and there's these 3 dots. You hit the 3 dots, you'll see the little like button come up. Hit the likes. Make sure the algorithm knows that we're having a good time over here, man. They've been mean to me for a while. So we're going to make sure that they're not as mean this time. Okay, so let me finish this out. Then I'm going to get to the serious conversation. But this is making me feel really good about the future of football. If it's going to be a performance, let's make it be a performance. You feel me? This was a hell of a performance. I don't know none of these damn... All right, now I'll be honest. This little strap around her waist right here, that doesn't look very secure to be that high in the air. But yeah, you know what? I'm not the safety guy. I'm just saying the thing looks like fabric, and not saying Beyonce is overweight or anything, but gravity and some of these things can be a problem when you're very high in the air. But okay. But nonetheless, so let's let her hit her last note here. Bang. There you go.
Merry Christmas. God bless y'all. Thank you so much.
Please salute to that. I'm sorry, man. I got to... That was a murderous performance, okay? That was a murderous performance. So, like I said, I had to get y'all started with something that feels good. I think it was awesome that they decided to do that. I think for the product itself, it was a great show. There's people hating on it because they wanted to hear, different Beyonce songs. They wanted to hear some of the classics, which I understand because some people don't listen to the more current Beyonce, Cowboy Carter stuff. I get that. But if you like a good show, that was a hell of a show. And that was a regular season game. So if the NFL, if y'all happen to tune into my podcast at any point in time and you're looking for suggestions, I would suggest that y'all keep that same energy and just utilize the money y'all got. They get millions and millions of dollars. There's no reason that they can't have good performances at way more than just the Super Bowl. Advertisers are paying a lot of money to get them commercials in there, right? So if you want to get that new crowd, because the regular football guys, the old football guys with the big beer bellies drinking the Budweiser, they're getting old. Some of them are dying out. You need a new crowd? That's the way to do it. Start bringing in the Shabuzi crowd. Like, I don't even get Shabuzi. He's like a walking oxymoron in my opinion, but I think he's probably great for whoever likes him. He just doesn't fit the normal, what I would see. And that's because of where I was raised. Country singers don't look like that. They're not 6'9" with dreadlocks. Like, that's just not normal. Not to take away from the guy and his music and the fact that it's doing well. Congratulations on that. Just me personally, it was like, what's going on here? So for him to join up, you got Post Malone joining up. So you got black people, you got white people, you got men, you got women, you got mother, you got daughter, you got football, you got America. They killed it, man. And I'm glad they did that. I'm glad they did that because, in my opinion, America needs something like that right now. We definitely need something like that right now. Definitely need something like that. What's up to my man, the DJ? I know who it is, but thanks for stopping in, man. Thanks for stopping in. I know you saw that performance, so I'm just saying, I am too through because I hadn't watched it again until I just watched it, and I was like, man, that was a really good show. So hopefully they don't figure out how good of a show that was and start charging us for every damn game and doing that. That's the good with the bad, as they say, right? It's the good with the bad. So anybody that's new to the channel, This is Purge of the BS, and we are going to get into our BS purge. But before we did that, I had to pay a little respect to what I was able to view in the Ravens versus the Texans game. Now, anybody that knows me knows I'm a diehard Ravens fan. And I get you. I get you, DJ. I get you. We would have liked to see that. But if you watch it with the sound off, you still see the same movements that she would have done in the Bootylicious situation. So you still get visually very similar show. Just saying. Just saying. Musically, nah, it wasn't the same thing. It's not what we're used to. But I'm not going to take away from the performance of it. It's been a million Super Bowl halftime shows that I've watched that were like, I didn't really know the artist, but I can respect a good show. And that's what I'm saying. Yeah, she could have gave us some of that, but I don't think that's what the NFL wanted or Netflix wanted, because there might be some different rights. You and I know about copyrights and things like that. So if she's performing the music that she created later in her career, there might be more money that comes directly back to her versus the things that she was doing earlier when certain other people were writing for her. So we don't know. That could be going on too. But nonetheless, guys, I got to get to the actual main story. I got like 3 stories today, but I want to get to the main one because there's been a few questions about this more recent situation with Biden. And I didn't want to just jump into politics because politics is a thing that I talk about, but it annoys me. So it's like I got to talk about it, but it's also annoying to me how goofy a lot of it is and how, like, we really don't have a lot of power. We think we do. We vote for something, but I don't know what we're voting for because there's stuff that goes on every day that we don't have no vote on. And we're like, yeah, I didn't want that. So it's always interesting to talk about it. But before we get into that, if you're new to the show, make sure that you like and subscribe. If you are not a subscriber, we don't have you in the chat. You got to be serious about having a real conversation if you want to be in the chat. But for those of you who have subscribed, thank you guys for helping grow this show. Y'all have been wonderful in 2024. I can only imagine what we're going to do in 2025. So before I dig into what's really going on here, as you know, I must provide the disclaimer.
This is not a test. This is your emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of another purge of the BS, sanctioned by the First Amendment. Frustration levels 0 to 100 have been authorized for use during this purge. All weapons are restricted. Government officials have not been granted immunity from the purge of the BS and shall undoubtedly receive the smoke. Commencing at the sound of the gong, any and all BS, especially unnecessary goofiness, will be purged without prejudice. Police, fire, and emergency medical services will be available, but they will be busy because they too will be watching the purge of the BS. Blessed be those who have already been victims of some BS. May God be with you all.
All right, folks, let's go. Are y'all prepared for this? They're prepared. Okay, so if you're just getting into the chat, this is Purge the BS, and we got to talk about Mr. Joe Biden and his most recent movements when it comes to commuting death row inmates, because there seems to be a lot of mixed, pissed off people, and I don't know which side I sit on, so I'm going to have a chat with y'all. Y'all can help me out, and we can move on with the next thing. Now, like I said, if you're brand new to the channel, thank you for stopping in. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell, because I just be dropping lives, and sometimes it takes a minute for it to notify. So make sure you're on that notification, okay? Now, for anybody who hasn't been paying attention, let me bring this up for them. I don't know if y'all watch Fox Business or whatever that is. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. Oh, hold on. Whoa. Guys, can we get the likes up? Get the likes up. If you don't know where the like button is, you got to hit the thing on the top right. 3 dots. It's a 3-dot thing on the Android phone. It took me months to figure that out. I couldn't figure out why I couldn't like stuff on the live shorts feed on the vertical. So it's a 3 dots thing. Make sure you hit that. And make sure you subscribe to this channel. Okay, let me get y'all into our story here. Yeah, we're gonna go over this little clip from, what is this, GMA or something? One of them crazy ass shows where they be talking. Oh, I wasn't ready for my my music to be off yet. Special shouts to Anno Domini Beats for the track there. Much appreciated. It's hot. I love that track. All right, folks. Well, here it is. I'm going to be simple. I'm going to be quick. Joe Biden commuted some people who had life sentences, and these folks are talking about it, and I wanted to hear about it with y'all. So, if you haven't heard about it, he pretty much commuted the sentences of everybody who was on federal death row. So let's see what they have to say about that.
President-elect Trump is slamming Joe Biden after he commuted the sentences of 37 of the 40 federal death row inmates. He posted this on Truth Social. As soon as I am inaugurated, I will direct the Justice Department to vigorously pursue the death penalty to protect American families and children from violent rapists, murderers, and monsters. We'll be a nation of law and order again. Biden's decision sparking a strong reaction from the families of those inmates' victims. The daughter of Donna Major, a South Carolina bank teller who was killed during a 2017 robbery, is furious that her mother's killer was resentenced. Watch.
I am upset that this is even happening, that one man can make this decision without even talking to the victims, without any regard for what we've been through, what we're going through. I'm completely hurt, frustrated, and angry.
Another commutation includes Jorge Avila Torres. He was sentenced to die after sexually assaulting and stabbing 2 young girls to death in 2005. 8-year-old Laura Hobbs and 9-year-old Crystal Tobias. 4 years later, he strangled 20-year-old Naval Officer Amanda Snell. Joining me now, constitutional attorney and Supreme Court bar member Mark Smith. Mark,
what's the point
I want to get your
that?
reaction to all of this.
Wait a second. Hold on. Before I get to whatever this dude's about to say, why would you... All right, I don't know if I'm wrong, okay? But if you have a life sentence, a federal life sentence, right? Like a death sentence, and then you change that to a life sentence, don't you still have to spend life in jail? Like till you die? Doesn't that still hold to be true? I don't know. That's my question. If anybody knows the full answer to that, make sure you throw it in the chat, because I'm just wondering, because it sounds like they're trying to say that he like pardoned some people, like he set them free, but it sounds like that's not exactly what happened. So maybe the upheaval is misdirected a little bit, but let's see. Let me see what they're talking about.
Well, I think the big picture, Cheryl, is this puts the lie to the notion that the Democrats and Joe Biden respect the rule of law. They respect the process. They even respect their own Department of Justice. That was the message we kept hearing when they were pursuing Donald Trump with all that lawfare. Then all of a sudden, it turns out Donald Trump wins the election. And next thing you know, that indeed, Joe Biden has no interest in the rule of law, the process. He wants to rule as a king and basically waves a magic wand and pardons his son, Hunter Biden.
Now
and now engages in the commutation of these individuals who are found to be deserving of the death penalty by juries and judges across this country. And yeah, I think it puts a lie to the notion that Joe Biden and the Democrats respect the rule of law. At the end of the day, it's about politics to them, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it seems that politics is at play in the courts, in particular with these judicial nominations. 3 Democrat-appointed judges canceling their retirement plans. Then that blocks President-elect Trump from appointing their successors. It's thought to be a highly unusual move. It is sparking outrage from Republicans who see it as political and a maneuver for them to keep control of the courts.
You must be pretty damn confident to just be like, yeah, I'm not going to leave this position. Now, I thought this was going to be about commuting sentences, but there was a whole nother thing going on. I didn't know that all of this other stuff was going on. So now they done played that. So now I'm interested in that. Like, they canceled their retirement plans, meaning they said, we're not going to retire so that Donald Trump cannot appoint their successors. So doesn't that sound like obstruction of something? Like, doesn't that sound wrong? Like blatantly wrong, like kind of a loophole thing? I don't know. Like I said, I'm not into politics, but this stuff keeps coming across the timeline. I'm wondering what the hell is really going on. So hold on. Let me let them finish talking about whatever they're talking about, because now I'm trying to figure out what this is about.
President Biden, meanwhile, is under fire. He vetoed the Judges Act. That was a bipartisan bill that would have created 66 new judgeships. The bill had widespread support. Critics say his veto was also a political move aimed at preventing Trump from shaping the courts even further. Mark, your reaction?
I think this is a great show of weakness by the Democrats and Joe Biden, because this was a bipartisan bill, and it was going to create 22 new judgeships for the next 4 years, and another 22 and another 22 over the next 3 presidential presidencies. And what's quite interesting is almost a sign that the Democrats fear that after Donald Trump would have the opportunity to appoint 22 federal judges, that potentially President Vance might have a chance to appoint another 22 But at the end of the day, I think this speaks volumes about how the Democrats view President Trump and his ability to transform the federal judiciary from a group of many judges that are outcome oriented to a group of law and order conservatives and originalists, because there's no.
This is where I get lost. If anybody is in my chat that knows anything about politics, okay, I need your help. What is the problem with, not even the problem, what is the problem, what is the deficit that we need 22 new judges to fill? If anybody can help me understand that, that'd be great. I don't understand that. It just sounds like they're just doing stuff just so they can have something to say that somebody said no to. Like, well, why was there a necessity for that right now? But it's causing a lot of back and forth. And I think that's where my issue is. It's causing a lot of back and forth that to me is like, can we just get through these next couple of weeks and then you go get your little office and then that be what we're doing instead of creating new. Why are we creating more positions? There's more people we got to pay. So you creating these new positions to offset the ones that are already filled by these people that don't want to leave? That seems wasteful to me. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a politician. I don't proclaim to be at all. I'm just an American citizen who is watching things and has questions. So anybody that's a troll that comes into my chat, please do not come at me. You don't know politics. Guess what? I'm not a politician. So there you go. Okay. So if you can answer a question for me, do that. Other than that, shut up.
President in U.S. history since Franklin Delano Roosevelt that has done more to transform the federal judiciary than President Trump, with his confirmation of 3 Supreme Court justices, Kavanaugh, Barrett, and of course Gorsuch. So yes, as far as I'm concerned, this is a show of weakness by the Democrats and Joe Biden to say they recognize that Donald Trump is very effective on this issue when it comes to federal judges.
You mentioned the Supreme Court. I do want to ask you about that as we go into this next term. One of the things that Kamala Harris campaigned on was, of course, that Donald Trump could, and now he still could, get 2 more Supreme Court nominations. That's if you have 2 retirements. I'm not saying Clarence Thomas is retiring. I'm just saying that's a possibility. What do you make of that? And are you hearing anything about the future of the Supreme Court in the next 4 years?
Well, obviously, it's always very quiet. These are lifetime decisions that justices have to make, and you have to respect the careers of Justice Thomas and Justice Alito and all the justices on the Supreme Court.
But I'm just saying, it does seem like they're real scared of hell.
But obviously, these justices are aware of what happened with Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, where she unfortunately passed away at the end of Donald Trump's term and was replaced by conservative Justice Barrett. And obviously. The justices are aware of that dynamic. Now, I'm not saying that's going to influence their decision. These are very personal choices. These are lifetime appointments. But
all right. Well, I don't know if y'all heard that last thing he said. Those are lifetime appointments. So once you get these positions, then you just stay there till you gone. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I thought I heard Donald Trump talking about putting age limits or term limits on a lot of those positions. So wouldn't that negate the whole lifetime position thing they're talking about, if that's what he's planning on doing? So is that why they're trying to keep people in there, because they can grandfather it? Because they got to vote on that at some point, I guess. And I guess if they keep the old school people in there, they won't vote for it. But that just seems interesting to me. Like, why do we want anybody to serve at the same job for the rest of their life? Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, for the rest of their natural life, we want them to do the same exact thing. You think they're not going to get grizzled and a little disgruntled over time and maybe get a little kind of out of it, maybe they start to become disconnected from the job itself and it just becomes a chore. I don't know very many things that I would just like a job that I would want to do for the entirety of my adult life. And that be it. That's the job. That's what you do. You're every day. You got to do that for 40, 50, 60 hours a week for the rest of your life. I don't know, man. I think they need term limits on that kind of stuff. Some of these old ass folks need to get out of office. They're a little old. We can't have them driving in the street. We already have those issues with some of the older folks, but we want them to run the government. Seems a little weird to me. If we can't let them have a license to drive, but people at the same age get a license to govern. So we're going to need them to we're going to have to pause that. Just being honest. I think if we're going to be real, we should not have people that just live unabated in their position, in a government position. You can't be elected out. You can't be nothing. The only way out is for you to stop breathing. That's stupid. That's a dumb way to do that. When everything else, you got to elect the president every 4 years, but the ones that's really making the decisions have lifetime appointments. So you wonder why things have been going on the way that they have been for so many years is because we have folks in place that have been there for years that are really the decision makers, and we're voting for the face. We're voting for the Trump part of it, but he knows, it's the cabinet, it's the Senate. That's who makes the real decisions. So I'm gonna let this guy finish his little couple of minutes here, but this whole thing seems very confusing to me. So if y'all can help me out, fill me in, please do.
Yeah, I think that's a big question. Will Donald Trump have an opportunity to nominate one or more Supreme Court justices moving forward? And that is a big question that we're going to be talking a lot about, Cheryl, in the month of June as the Supreme Court winds up this term.
No, Clarence Thomas, was in the fight of his life to get that appointment. If you go back several decades now to those confirmation hearings, which I sadly recall because of my age. Let's move on to the issue of immigration and criminal
you should do that out there.
activity. United Healthcare CEO, murder suspect. I'm sorry. Let me stop really quick. I do want to ask you about that. There's a lot of discussions with the role of local and state officials fighting against immigration. I do want to get to the Luigi Mangione story in a moment.
Yeah,
I apologize to the
we didn't need that
producers, but I did want to ask you about that because we're seeing this legal fight now that is beginning with immigration and some of these sanctuary cities and these city councils saying that they're going to fight back. This is all going to go to the courts, which is going to stifle Tom Homan's efforts to do these mass deportations. I did want to get your take on that.
Well, look, nothing requires state and local officials to help the federal government on any issue. But the one thing that state and local authorities are not allowed to do is interfere with the federal enforcement of law, including immigration law. Now, what's interesting, Cheryl, is that the first Trump term, we saw a lot of federal district court judges enjoy nationwide all sorts of immigration policies. But what's quite interesting, in the last 4 years with this current Supreme Court, they have made it very clear, Cheryl, that they're not going to allow federal trial judges to enter nationwide injunctions. So I think we're not going to see the same dynamic where you have a single judge in Hawaii enjoining nationwide immigration policy for this president. I think it's going to be a much different dynamic and a much more favorable one in favor of President Trump and the enforcement of federal immigration laws than we saw in 2016 and 2020.
Interesting. All right,
well,
back to Luigi Mangione, that is the murder suspect with the United Healthcare CEO that was killed. He did plead not guilty earlier in the week. I do want to get your take on this case as we move forward. He's expected back in court very soon.
Well, obviously, this is going to be a very long process, Cheryl, in terms of the legal, there's going to be discovery and exchange of information and investigations. Obviously, his attorneys will have to make a lot of decisions about the potential defense. But I think there's one important message that I think is sometimes getting lost here is to the extent that you believe that Mangione engaged in an act of terrorism, we have to be very careful about what that means, because terrorism is an act of violence where you're trying to effectuate some sort of political, social, or cultural change. And to the extent we play into his alleged hand of starting to talk about the political issues that he wanted us to discuss, we're actually rewarding bad behavior. And I think we as a nation need to be very careful. Yes, this is a case that has to be adjudicated on the merits. Did he commit the murder? What was his motive? What was the intent? Yes, you have to play out the rule of law. Of course you do. But we have to be very careful, in my opinion, not to allow, if his goal was to start a political conversation about, let's say, health insurance in America, that we don't reward that bad behavior, because it sets a very bad precedent, Cheryl, for other people down the road. We don't want to encourage.
Okay. Well, it wasn't about Mangione, but I'll make a brief statement about that. And I'm just going to keep it 100% real, even though some people don't like when I use the term percent, but you understand what I mean when I say that. This Mangione thing has become a public display. And at the end of the day, having too much public opinion and public exposure is like grounds for a mistrial. To say that the jurors can't make a non-biased opinion about your case because they've been inundated with the media and public information. And you can get a mistrial like that. So they're heading that way. Just saying. You got that. Secondarily, I read the manifesto thing that he did, and actually he doesn't admit to committing any act in that. He makes inferences to some things, but he never directly says, hey, I'm going after Brian Johnson and I'm going to take him out. And this is what, you know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of gray area. There's now circumstantial evidence. There's a reason for change of venue to take him out of New York City. And then the prosecution can make their own case to say that the public opinion being favorable could, mess up the jury, and the jury could rule favorably. So where are you going to take the case to? Even if you take it out of New York, everybody knows that case. So they setting him up for a whole mistrial situation. I'm just saying. Just saying. So anybody who doesn't know law at all, I'm sorry if you think that's an open and shut case, but if you want to be honest, the video of him taking that shot doesn't really have him on there. There's somebody on there. You see what I'm saying? And they could have a water bottle with his DNA around the corner, but that doesn't necessarily put a pistol in his hand. Even if he had one on his person, or so to speak, when they found him. So they're going to have to do that other test to get the GSR on his hands and all that, which you may not get a few days later. That's going to be a freaking like nightmare case. I'm just saying. It's all circumstantial, and he never confessed to anything, and he pled not guilty. So it's on the state to prove that he's the guy in that video and that he's the one that did that. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be one of them crazy cases like the OJ one, where you swear you know what happened, but the way that they spin the evidence, it's like certain things are going to be inadmissible. The jury's going to have to not decide on it. And if you're talking about unanimous, somebody on that jury is going to say no, and eventually it's going to be a mistrial. So mark my words, you can waste your time for the next 3 years watching that freaking trial, but it's not going to be nothing. It's going to be a mistrial or something goofy like that. So I got 2 more stories to do, and then I got some stuff I got to take care of. So giving y'all my little bit of time today because I wanted to have some quick conversations, because Joe Biden did the whole thing on Christmas Day with commuting those people. And I want you to understand where my angle is on that. If you commute some people that are on federal death row, but you're not setting them free, you're just telling them they got to still spend the rest of their life there, then that means, to some degree, somebody's got to pay for them staying there the extra time. I don't really think that's what people want. The families want them people gone, and anybody that's got to pay whatever they said it was, I think it's like $30,000 or something a year to house an inmate, sometimes more depending on the jail or the facility. If that's the case, then maybe we don't want them to spend another 25 years just living. Like, they're gone from society anyway, and they're not coming out. So why should we continue to just pay for them to be there because Joe Biden don't want them to see the death penalty? I don't know. That was an interesting move by him. I'm sure it wasn't him. Just for those that don't know, Joe Biden is not doing anything other than signing stuff. They're just putting stuff in front of him, and these are other people's agendas. These are other people's ideas that he's just signing off on. He doesn't even know the people he's commuting personally. You see what I'm saying? So somebody's bringing him this and saying, look, sign off on all of these real quick, Joe, before you go. And he's like, okay, what else you got? And he's just doing it. So I don't want to say don't blame Joe Biden, but understand he's not the one who's making the actual decision. It's someone else's decision, He's signing off on it, and they're throwing his neck out there and his name out there at the end of his term. So have fun. We got a couple weeks of that left. So because we're in this political realm for just a moment here, first of all, make sure y'all get the likes up. If you came in and tuned in, thank you very much for stopping by Purge the BS. We are in the midst of purging our Christmas Day BS. This is the day after Christmas, and a bunch of craziness happened on Christmas. It's like, why are they commuting people? Are you supposed to be home eating with the family? Now, I understand why Beyonce and them weren't home. They were at the game doing a killer performance. That's what that was. But anyway, while you were sleeping, there was this, I would say, a declaration by Donald Trump that he's pretty much just going to outlaw transgenderism, like just in a general sense, which is going to be dangerous, in my opinion, because it's too blanket. You got to be a little more specific. There's a few things I'm sure Americans will be fine with, but some of that stuff, it's going to be a problem. But I'm going to let this guy, Mr. Milk Dud, explain the story to you from First Post, okay?
And staying in the United States, incoming President Donald Trump says he will end transgender lunacy once he takes office in January. Now, speaking in Phoenix, Arizona on Sunday, Trump vowed to create policies to only recognize two genders, male and female. And in an apparent reference to gender-affirming surgery, Donald Trump said that he will end the mutilation of children with a stroke of his pen.
With the stroke of my pen on day one, we are going to stop the transgender lunacy. And I will sign executive orders to end child sexual mutilation, get transgender out of the military and out of
didn't know
our
a lot was said at that
elementary
turning
schools
point,
and middle
Ben.
schools and high school.
If you didn't know.
And we will keep men out of women's sports.
Hey, y'all hit the like button.
And that will likewise be done on day one. Should I do day one, day two, or day three? How about day one, right?
Now, this is not the first time Trump has railed against transgender rights. In fact, he aggressively ran television ads during his campaign mocking Vice President Kamala Harris for her support of transgender rights. And in the run-up to the presidential election, Donald Trump pledged to impose restrictions on trans students in schools. His policies could affect the use of preferred pronouns, bathrooms, and locker rooms by students.
Are we still doing
Moreover,
pronouns?
The incoming president believes that any doctor or hospital providing gender-affirming care should be banned from practice. And when it comes to sports, Donald Trump embraces his anti-trans mantra of not allowing biological men in women's sports.
All right, hold on now. He said that the hospitals that perform gender-affirming care should be banned. I don't know if that's 100% truth on that one, but that's a slippery slope, because adult people at least have a choice. I don't think that they should be doing that with young teenagers and 12-year-olds and all that. That's just my opinion. But if you're 25, 26 years old and you want to go ahead and chop off the sausage, I mean, it's your sausage, you know? Your body, your choice, right? So I don't know about that part. That just seems like if you ban everyone from doing it, now you'll have an outcry of people who do, at least as adults, should have the right to freely chop off sausage. So I wouldn't do that myself, because I appreciate mine and I like where I'm at with it. But if a person wants to do that, you know, I'm not going to say who am I to stop you, but I'm just saying I think the government should at least allow people, if you want to do that, yeah. I don't think you should ban the hospital from doing anything because somebody wanted that done. Now, if we're talking about minors and all of that, okay, I get that part. But any hospital that performs it. So I'm gonna have to fact check this First Post thing, because a lot of times they'll take Trump clips and they'll say that he said something in more of a blanket sense. And then I go find out that he was talking about one particular group of people, or that there's more context to it. So it's very tough to listen to anybody talk about Trump stuff, because unless you see the whole whatever the hell it was, they be leaving too much out. And that's on both sides, the ones that like them and the ones that don't like them. They be leaving stuff out so that they can give you their little spin on the shit. So I'm gonna let this little guy finish this thing up, but I'm just being honest. I don't think trying to just ban transgenderism in America is the smartest day one move if you want to have some level of smoothness. Now, truth be told, there's a very small percentage of the population that actually identifies as trans anything. So if they're the only ones fighting it, it's not going to be a big fight. But I'm sure there's going to be family members and the Leviticus and all the people that wear the pride stuff and, you know, all of the advocates and everybody. They're going to come out and they're going to try to hold, Trump to the fire over that. Now, if that's cool with y'all, I have no qualms with it. I just don't think that, like, what if somebody's in transition now? Like, they still got some appointments left to get things done, like they're prepping and they're in prep, or maybe they just got, I don't know. How do you deal with those? You know, I'm sure there's just a few of them. But the blanket statement of just outlawing it, like, what are you going to do? You're going to lock people up for being that? Like, you're going to put them in jail for it? Or you're going to put them in, he's probably going to put them in a mental health institution. That's what he would do. He would say that they're crazy and then lock them up and use whatever that law is. It's not Murphy's Law. I can't think of it. Was it Baker Act? The Baker Act? And he'll put them in a facility saying that they're crazy because they want to be transgender. So watch that. That's a move he would pull. So you better not let him outlaw everything. Just for the kids. Just outlaw it for the kids, and let's just stay there.
I promise.
And the sports thing. That makes sense.
Last year, the radical left's gender insanity arrived right here in Salem when a man was allowed to transfer onto the Roanoke College women's swim team.
You did a little girl in the back.
And I just met them backstage, the great swimmers. I didn't notice a male on that particular team. I didn't notice a male on that team. Perhaps I don't understand what's happening, but I didn't see any males on that team, believe me. But the brave members of the swim team stood up to the transgender fanatics, something new in our country.
Now, this part is an older video.
And I would say beautiful, but I'm not allowed to use that term anymore with women, because if you say beautiful, it means the end of your career in politics. You're not allowed to say a woman's beautiful, so I will not tell you how beautiful they are, but they are beautiful. But those strong, beautiful, intelligent women, they won.
The incoming commander-in-chief also plans to discharge transgender members of the U.S. military, deeming them medically unfit. His plans would likely include banning future recruitment of trans people in the military and gender-affirming care.
Hold up now. Did you hear that? Banning trans people in the military would mean discharging the ones that are currently there with a dishonorable discharge, saying that they're mentally unfit. That'll never work. Okay, it'll never work. I'm not saying he can't ban them, but it'll never work with him trying to dishonorably discharge them and send them. That's not going to work. People aren't going to let that happen. I mean, it sounds cool to you hardcore right-wing types, but nah, they're not going to do that. There's people that have a heart, and they're like, you know what? We let folks get this far into the military, and some of them, you know, they've completed trainings and they're entitled to whatever, you know, the ones that are in there. They're entitled to that. Don't do that. That's mean. Now, if you want to say, you know, I don't even know how to deal with this without getting myself in trouble. Let me say this. If you pass the physical part of the military, then who you sleeping with shouldn't matter. If you pass the sniper test and you're hitting that target at 1,000 yards or whatever, who you sleeping with shouldn't matter. So that's where I'm at with that. Some people are different.
Now, with Donald Trump reiterating his anti-trans rhetoric, anger and anxiety have become dominant emotions among rights activists and the LGBTQ plus community.
I don't think that I would be here today for this interview if I wasn't receiving the care that I do receive today. Without the care, I was really deeply depressed, lost, and unable to live a regular life. I think that.
Okay, regular life? But that's, all right, again, confusion has taken over. So now you have considered, I mean, she's passable, or he's passable, or that's passable. You know what I'm saying? But this is regular life? That's how you feel? I don't know. And to have to go through all that and whatever the process is and having to get started in the medical situation, I don't know if that would be considered regular life or normal life, but it's a life. And if that's the life you want, you're entitled to it. But I don't consider that to be like a normal life. But so I don't know. I'm not upset. I'm just confused, man.
That's
like some of these people.
Is to be able to access care that will affirm our gender, allow us to flourish into who we are and live lives.
That would look like a chick, though. That does look like a chick. I'll be honest. I don't know about the shoulders and down. You know, sometimes you got to see the whole body shot.
It's the individual that's best to make the decision about their access and their doctor or whomever they're trying to
I'm not sure what this is.
I don't necessarily know that the federal government making that decision is a good idea, but I certainly don't think that we should have.
And I mean race, gender, I don't know what this is.
I think each person should have the ability to access the support, the care, the resources that they need in order to live like all of us.
Now, a Washington Post survey says nearly 2 million people living in the United States identify as transgender, representing less than 1% of all adults. And now their future depends on Donald Trump, who could crush their hopes and dreams of living normal lives with his uncertain executive orders.
That doesn't seem like a normal life, though. Like, even if you just you're not going through anything specifically because you're like anything in society, like having to take all the medicines and having to keep up on these treatments and having to spread or whatever that is that they got to go through, that doesn't seem like a normal life to me. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. I'm just confused, and I just be asking questions. And if it's 1% of adults, I'm not saying that 1% isn't important, but I don't know. But then why is that 1% all up in the schools and doing drag queen story hour? Why are we doing all that for 1%? I actually thought it was more than that. Now it doesn't make any sense to me. Shoot, 1% of the country is polygamous or, they're part of a cult. That doesn't mean that we got to put their thing on Front Street. So why do we, I don't know, man. Maybe I was under the impression that there was I'd say maybe 5% of the population. I didn't see them, but they were always in the news and always doing stuff. So I assumed that there was a lot more of them, but I don't know, man. I'm just going to be honest. Donald Trump has a way of doing things that can be very abrasive, and a lot of people are not going to like that. A lot of people are going to be, they're going to be against it. And if they're not against it at first, they'll become against it because it'll affect something that they hold dear or somebody that they know. And it'll be a lot of people that used to support Trump. They might go against him on that. You can't just kick people out of the military and give them a dishonorable discharge because you feel like it now. They got in the military when it was okay. If you want to let them go with a severance package or whatever the hell you want to do, or tell them that I don't know what to tell them, but I'm just saying you can't dishonorably discharge them and throw them into an insane asylum. That's not going to happen. In America, if that's what is attempted, we cannot let that happen. I'm not about all of the trans stuff myself, but I don't think that's right to kick people out of the military and put them in an insane asylum. Dishonorable discharge, no benefits, and they end up in a crazy house. I just think that's a bit much, considering whoever's there is there legally at this point. So if you want to say nobody else can come in that identifies as something else and start making a plan for the future, not totally against that, but I am definitely against him going in there and just saying anybody who's trans, y'all are now discharged from the military and you're considered mentally deranged, so we have to lock you up in an insane asylum until somebody thinks that you're cured of your gender confusion. Guys, that's a slippery slope. So I know there's a lot of right wingers that I know and on my channel, and we can't be that hard on people. We got to understand that some folks have different things going on in their mind, and they don't all necessarily need to spend the rest of their life behind bars because they're going through whatever they're going through. So, you know, that's a tough one. That's a really tough one. But he's trying to impose restrictions on trans students in school, and that's a little interesting too. Like I said, I don't know. That's a confusing one. I'm gonna stay out of that. Yeah, I'm gonna stay out of that. I said my piece. My piece is simple as this: if they're in the military, do not just kick them out, dishonorably discharge them, and throw them into a mental asylum. That's not right. Anything else is up for discussion, I guess, but I just think that's a bit much. So, sorry, guys. Okay, what time is it? Did I do my time so I don't get fined today? It looks like I did my time. Let me make sure I did my time. Hold on. Hey, if you're new to the show, man, thanks for stopping in. I know it's been a different kind of show today. It's the day after Christmas, and I noticed that all of a sudden there was some death row people that got let go on Christmas, and ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And Fredo the man, thanks for stopping in the chat. Appreciate you stopping in. But it's really like, I'm about to bring y'all in because I you know how I am. I can get real serious on stuff. In the last couple of weeks, we have seen somebody get their life taken in the middle of a street. We've seen a person run over multiple people in like a market. We've seen a school shooter type girl going to a church or whatever that were, a private school. We've seen that. This is just in the last few weeks. We've seen somebody set on fire and in the middle of a New York subway train. We have seen all of these things in like the last 3 weeks. We are becoming totally desensitized. We are. There's no way you can see all of that firsthand in less than a month and not be somehow messed up in the brain. I ain't gonna lie, I'm messed up. I'm a little messed up when I really think about all of these things that have now been seen. There was a plane crash earlier today. They got video of that. In the last month or so, we done seen everything deadly happen to people. And it's like, we don't even care no more. Nobody's even trying to rescue nobody. I seen the thing with the lady getting caught on fire, and the cop just went past her, like just waved at her like, man, I don't even have time for that. Not freaking out like most people would if they saw somebody set on fire. You know what I'm saying? Then we got this guy popping somebody on the street in Manhattan. And now we'd have made him a superstar. Like, what is going on, guys? What the hell? Meanwhile, our current president is setting death row inmates free. Well, not free, because I never got full confirmation on that, but I think they just end up spending the rest of their life in jail. So they don't go free. They just not going to get killed by somebody. They just going to have to let God do the work. But they still ain't going nowhere. So that to me seems like a waste of money. If we was going to kill them, I hate to say it, if we were going to take them out, let me say it that way. If we want to take them out, then take them out. That's it. That's all I'm saying. So nonetheless, hold on a second. It's saying I got a problem in my my stream. If the stream is still coming through to y'all, please give me a thumbs up in the chat. It looks like I'm having a technical issue. I don't know. But nonetheless, I just think we became desensitized. And I'm trying to resensitize myself. Pause. Because it's like, I don't even care. I try to care. I care a little bit, but I don't really care. Like, I care, but you understand what I'm saying? I don't really care anymore, and that's dangerous, you know? Mountain Dew, thanks for stopping in the chat, man. No, that just kind of made me sad because I'm being honest with myself. I don't really care as much anymore as I used to. I'm just like, oh shit, when I see something, but it's not even, it's like it doesn't dig as deep anymore. It's not even, they got us looking at these illegal migrants every day killing people to the point where we don't even really care. We're just like, wow, that's crazy. Another one of them did that. And then people say, yeah, we need to keep those folks in the country. No, we don't. Not really. Not if you're doing all that. Not if you're setting people on fire. Please leave. Please. And I don't know if that was a setup just to get us mad at migrants again, but damn it if they can't keep popping up committing these wild ass crimes. It's like every day. Can't even watch can't even watch TV without just worrying that something's gonna come across it, and then you're gonna hear about somebody getting, pieced up in the middle of the street, and then instead of folks being like, oh, that's messed up that happened, we start exalting them. I'm not trying to talk bad. I don't know what that man's motive was. I don't. But we don't need to be cheering on popping people in the middle of the street in their back. First of all, where I come from, popping people in the back is disrespectful anyway. So I didn't have respect for that act because of that. You understand what I'm saying? So real ones don't understand. I mean, real ones understand. The non-real do not understand. Popping somebody in the back is 100% act of cowardice, and I don't care. So the man's a coward to me. Because if you really was going to do something, you'd have been standing in front of them and you'd have looked them dead in the eye. But you didn't do that. Whoever that was. Because I still don't know if that was the same guy. I still don't know. I didn't see him. I saw what they showed me on the camera. Mel McGreevy, thanks for stopping in the chat. And that is a good question. I don't know if that stuff costs any less. I really don't know. It probably costs the same. It's a full-blown medical treatment plan that goes for the rest of your life once you enter it, just like cancer. So even if it's not cheaper than it, it's damn sure expensive. You see what I'm saying? That's a waste. It's a waste of whatever. But yeah, Mountain Dew, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Real ones know what I'm talking about. Shooting a man in the back is an act of cowardice, no matter how you slice it. That's how it works. That's why you can't say it's self-defense if you shoot a person in the back, because they can't possibly be a threat to you if they're not even looking at you. So whatever, y'all can say what you want about how Luigi Mangione looks, but I don't get down like that. So that meant nothing to me. What meant something to me is he cowardly shot a man in the back and didn't really give us a reason why that was even necessary. What, because he worked for some health insurance company? Is that where we at? Really? I'm not saying the health insurance companies didn't do nothing wrong, but is that what we're going to do? We're just going to start popping people in the back in Manhattan? Get the fuck out of here. You see what I'm saying? But we all over here like, oh. And then, like I said, that train station thing, man, nobody moved. The cop was running past like it was nothing going on. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, isn't there a fire extinguisher in every railway car? Or am I missing something? Nobody did nothing. Then this dude came over fanning the flames. Nobody kicked the shit out of him. You understand what I'm saying? Like even if you're not going to help the lady, don't let this dude do that. But we so desensitized, all they did was pull out their phones and become a damn digital witness. And that's what I keep telling people. And you know what they did? Man, I wish I had the damn clip now. All they did was focus on the technology. Like the fact that they caught the guy because of cameras and because of this. And I told people months ago, technology will just be a witness. It is not a protector. That's all it is. So what if they get the guy that killed me? I'm dead. Great that you had cameras there. Wish you would have had a cop that cared in the area. Gray 59, thanks for stopping in the chat. Kane Ross, thanks for stopping in the chat. Michael Perotas, thank you for stopping in the chat. Thank y'all for having this conversation with me, because I've been, like I said, I can only come on here every couple of days because I got other stuff to do, but I got to talk to folks because I've been watching it, and I'm like, is anybody else seeing this? Is anybody else actually seeing that we just don't care about each other no more. We don't care that people get shot in the street. We don't care that people get set on fire. We don't care. Now, granted, a lot of that stuff is happening in New York City and not just everywhere, but we saw how not only how people responded, but the fact that everybody was sharing that video. That was horrible to watch, to know that that was a person. But it's like you couldn't look away. You know what I'm saying? You couldn't look away. And then when I thought about that, I said, you know what? That's sick, man. And I'm not innocent. That's why I'm asking, is everybody going through this? I'm not innocent, man. I watched the whole plane crash today. In real time, I saw it come out of the sky. It was 2.5 minutes. 2.5 minutes of watching the plane crash. That means the whole 2.5 minutes, I knew the plane was going to crash. And I waited just to see it. We done lost it, y'all. I know I'm part of a regular population. Watch the whole plane crash. If you haven't seen it, man, it was on X. I forgot what flight it was, but that just happened. And that's right, Grade 59. We should try and help everyone. That's why that whole thing in that New York subway, I just couldn't believe nobody tried to stop anything. And then when the dude starts fanning flames, the cop didn't stop him, and nobody came and put a damn foot in his hip and kicked him down onto that third rail, because that's what should have happened. But I digress. I'm not violent. I'm just saying that third rail had his name on it, and nobody put him where his name was. That's all I'm saying. And know that the plane, I don't think it was a Boeing plane. I'll look it up for you real quick. Hold up. It was over in like Kazakhstan or something like that. I'll pull it up, but it's just like, since we're talking about it, I'll just pull up the story. I don't really want to see that again. But you know what? We'll pull it up. Since my man asked about it, we'll take a look at it together. Since we're all desensitized, let's go get desensitized together, all right? So since we're all desensitized together, we're not worrying about death row inmates no more. We don't care, because let me be real. The fact that I was more upset that I'm like, oh, now we got to pay for this fool or these fools to continue living. Just kill them. When I thought that, I said, damn, that's sick. Oh. But I didn't even back off of it. Even once I said, man, that's a sick thought. And I was like, man, I don't even care. Don't nobody want to pay $30,000, $40,000 a year for you to live. You were supposed to be gone now. Joe Biden wants you to leave you as a bill for the rest of us when he's out of office. But but that's me being desensitized, right? I don't know, man. So I'm going to let y'all see this thing. Since somebody asked about the plane crash thing, and maybe everybody hasn't heard about it, but there was a whole plane. I don't know if it was a Boeing. We're going to find out. We're going to let this lady on ABC News explain it to us, whoever she is. She's cute.
People are dead and dozens injured after a passenger plane crashed in Kazakhstan. The plane was flying to a city in Russia when it was diverted due to fog. The new video shows holes in the wreckage, and now investigators are trying to uncover what caused the crash.
What is that?
And how more than 24 people managed to survive it. ABC's Ines de la Quatara joins me now for more, along with ABC News national security and defense analyst Mick Mulroy. Ines, what's the latest on this investigation and this new footage now that we're seeing?
Yeah, Diane. So, still lots of questions as to what may have caused the crash. The plane's black boxes have been recovered. An investigation has been open. Kazakhstan authorities say the preliminary report suggests the crash may have been due to a bird strike, which would have led to engine failure. But I just spoke to Andrew Nicholson, who is the CEO of Osprey, that's a flight security and analysis company that advises companies still flying over Russia. He says there is no way it was a bird strike. He questions whether air defenses could be to blame here, specifically surface-to-air missiles. He says his company believes there was drone activity in the region at the same time the plane crashed. We are working to confirm that. We do know that Russia in recent days had defended that area from Ukrainian drone attacks. And when asked whether the plane may have been fired upon by air defenses this morning, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov told reporters it would be wrong to speculate before the investigation is complete.
Now, Mick, there are reports in Europe that the Azerbaijani government is blaming Russia for this crash. What do you make of that?
So Diane, exactly. We need to wait for the actual investigation to see the whole determination of what it is. But it is clear from the pictures that you just showed that it does look consistent with a strike from a missile from the Panzer S, which is a Russian air defense system.
They're saying that looks like some bullet holes on it. That don't look like a bird. They said it was birds hit it.
Obviously, we have seen aerial combat in this region. So if you factor those two together, I think the investigation will likely look to that as the cause, but they need to do a full and impartial investigation to really determine what happened here.
What happens if, and again, big if, but what happens if it is determined that Russia had anything to do with this?
Well, obviously, if Russia did shoot at this,
crazy. They shot down their own
plane. They
plane.
have the evidence that they did it. So if they're concealing this and it becomes the investigation determines that it was a strike from a Panzer S, then they're obviously complicit, not only in doing it, but in the cover-up that they did it. And I think that
I don't think they can show the actual crash no more. But
this
the plane was out there hovering around for like
from flying in this region
for like a good
obviously
3 to 5 minutes trying to figure out how to deal with the thrust. But looking at that plane, somebody shot the damn plane in
this region. It is very
so
dangerous.
We're going to be hearing about this for a minute, but don't get it twisted, guys.
And now we
if
can
nobody
see that
brings up
there
this
is some
story,
undisciplined,
we are fully
potentially
desensitized.
soldiers
It was
manning
like
air defense systems in Russia
people are
that
gone.
would shoot down
And
an
it's not just
aircraft
one or
that was
two.
likely transpondering.
A bunch of people did not survive. I think only 20 people survived the accident.
And Inez, one of the remarkable things about this crash is actually how many people survived it. What more are you learning about that and how they're doing now?
Thing was that more people
yeah, I mean, really remarkable. There were more than 24 survivors here. Some were pulled from the wreckage. Some appeared to just walk away from the site of the wreckage. So there were 67 people on board. 38, including both pilots, were killed. But like 29 people did survive and were hospitalized, including 2 children. We know some of those survivors are in critical condition. We're waiting for more information as to whether there's any update with regards to their health. And a nationwide day of mourning today was declared in Azerbaijan for the plane's victims.
All right, Inez de la Cortara, Mick Mulroy, thank you both.
So
at least 38 people are dead and dozens injured after a passenger plane crash.
I just showed you the I guess the PG version of that whole situation because, like I said, there is a clip that shows the plane hit the ground, and when I saw it, I didn't know what it was. I thought it was AI, so I'm looking at it like, oh man, this is AI. This ain't even real. And then all of a sudden, it was all over my timeline. And I realized that had really happened, but they were saying it was a bird strike. I was like, first of all, why would birds just be striking at planes like that? But it looks like they shot the plane down. And they're trying to say that Russia's trying to say they didn't do it. They're trying to say that there was a bird up there. You know what they're going to need. You know what they get, the black box. Once they get the black box and the pilot's like, hey, shot at us, or whatever they say in their language, or whatever, right? Then there's going to be a whole cover up. But yeah, that's surface to air fire. I know what a big ass 50 caliber bullet looks like going through the side of a plane. I've never been in a plane when it happens, but I know what it looks like. You're not going to tell me a bird or a couple of birds went through the side of a plane like that. Maybe the front. Maybe if you ran right into it or hit the engine or something, you might have got chopped up in the engine or something. But there's no way birds hit the side of that plane and made it look like that. No way. No way. So I'm just saying, guys, I don't know what we're supposed to really do with these kind of pieces of information. Like, I remember Russia shut down a flight years ago and killed like 200 people. They shot down some people in like 2014. They did that. I remember that happened. So this is not abnormal for this to happen. So because of our desensitized state, nobody's going to care. And you know what they're going to care about? They're going to be worrying about MH370 that they haven't seen in 14 years. The one that went out in the ocean and nobody knows what happened to it. They're more worried about that. 25 people or 35 people, whatever, survived this crash. You're like, oh, okay, some people are alive, some people aren't. People lost their families. And all of this was on Christmas Day. That's what I was trying to say. The Joe Biden thing was Christmas Day. This was, I guess, Christmas Day to them. I don't know, or day after Christmas. Either way, it's sad. And we need to not be so waiting for the crash. Because I watched that video, the real one. I can't show it on YouTube. If you want to see that, you can go over to X. It's all over the place. It's all over the place. And there's literally, you see the plane just bow, hit the ground, explode, the whole thing. And, you know, it's almost hard for the brain to say there's people in there that may or may not have survived. We're just watching it like it's freaking Grand Theft Auto. So, guys, I have some things I need to do today. I went a little bit longer than expected, but it's only because I had y'all to have a conversation with. So thank you for doing so. Anybody that's new to the channel, thank you for your subscription. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your support. We really have had a great year in 24. I can't wait to see what we do in 2025. Just purging the BS and having a real conversation between real people. You know what I'm saying? So, guys, if you are one of the trolls, because I've had some trolls pop in every once in a while, and within the next week or two, some of the folks that I see coming in more frequently into the lives, I might have to add y'all as moderators, because every once in a while I get a troll and I don't see them. And, you know, I need somebody to be on troll patrol. You understand what I'm saying? Every once in a while. Because sometimes the trolls come in and they throw the whole conversation off, and we're just having a conversation. We're just grown people having a conversation. And when grown people cannot have a conversation, guys, you already know what that is. That, my friends, is the bullshit.